Alright, what's up? Today I'm gonna show you 8 tips and tricks on how to make more interesting trap hi-hats. Let's get into it. Alright, so tip number 1 is changing the velocity of your hi-hats. So changing the velocity of your hi-hats is very important. If you just draw them in like this and the hi-hat is the same velocity on every note, it sounds very robotic. However, sometimes that's the sound you want and that's what fits for the beat. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's whatever fits what you are making. A good trick to do is you take every upbeat and you drag the velocity down like this. So this gives more of a human touch to it. Another thing I do sometimes to give it even more of a human touch is there's this plugin called Velocity in Ableton under MIDI effects, and I drag it in front of the instrument. You can adjust this random knob here and it changes the velocity randomly. I don't like to do it too much. I usually just do like 3 maybe. It's just a very subtle thing. Alright, tip number 2, adding rolls to your hi-hats. So let's just put in some rolls here. And sometimes it's cool to add triplets too, to change up the rhythm a little bit. Or you can do longer triplets like this. And what I do with rolls a lot is that for rolls like this, I start on a low velocity and it like goes up in velocity. Maybe, you know, or you can do it the other way, like this. It's just kind of to play around with, but normally I do that. It just makes it smoother somehow, you know? And you can even do it here, da-da-da, like it goes kind of down. Just creates more movement, which is what you want. Tip number 3 is changing the pitch of your hi-hats. You can kind of treat your hi-hat as a melody, and I'm gonna show you what I mean. Suddenly it added another dimension kind of to the hi-hat. And for these notes that are lower or higher, I usually bring the velocity down on them because, you know, you're stacking the sounds so you don't want them to clash too much. Something I also do a lot is I pitch the rolls like this. You know, you can start on a low note and go up. Or start on a high note and go down. And that is something that really helps your hi-hats becoming more interesting. And this brings me to tip number 4, which is changing the note length of your hi-hats. So when you bring down the pitch, the note gets longer. I'll show you what I mean. You hear that? It's way longer than up here. Here it's real quick. It stops when you stop the note. Then you can adjust the note length like this. And you can completely change the vibe too by taking like this main hi-hat here and making those notes shorter. You can do that on certain notes. Now I did it on all of them just to show you the concept, but it's something you can do to incorporate in your hi-hat patterns. And this is something that is useful for open hi-hats, by the way. Like I'm hearing open hi-hat here, and what I would do is I would stop it before the clap plays. Because if it overlaps, like it can be cool for certain things or if that's what you want, but normally to make it tighter, you would also control the note length of your hi-hat, of your open hi-hats. Okay, tip number 5. Tip number 5. Changing the timing or the feel of your hi-hat. When the hi-hat is exactly on the grid, a lot of the times that's what you want. However, when the kick and the snare and the hi-hat and maybe other instruments hit at the same time, the sounds can clash and you get a spike there in volume on that transient. So what you can do is you select all the notes and you do Command 4 to make the grid free so it doesn't snap, and you pull it back so it's not exactly on the grid. And this gives the different percussion sounds more room in the mix. You can hear that it also changes the feel of the hi-hat a little bit too, like a little bit more laid back. My 6th tip is panning your hi-hats. So there's a few ways you can do this. Something I do a lot is I automate manually the panning here. So I can do something like this, for example. Maybe this will be on the left. The other way to do it is going to the simpler, to the controls, and then the random pan. It's just to experiment, but you know, here I'm just giving you some tips and tricks to incorporate in your own hi-hat patterns. There is another way. You can do the auto pan plugin. Drag it in here, and you can do it this way. So here you can do it randomly like that, or you can do it by note value. And you can change the amount. I do that sometimes too. Okay, over to tip number 7. And that is to use 2 hi-hats, or maybe 3. The sky's the limit. Something that you can do is you duplicate this hi-hat. On the first one, maybe you keep the middle hat and mute the rolls like this. And then on the second layer, you mute the middle hi-hat. And then you find a different hi-hat sound. Yeah, maybe that one. Drag it in here, and now you have 2 different sounds. That's actually pretty dope. I really like that. And then maybe you can add some reverb to that, you know? And this will create some vibe. And when you arrange the beat, you know, you have them both in the drop or whatever, and when it comes to the verse, you only have the second layer. You can use the different layers of hi-hats interchangeably from section to section of the song. The last tip, tip number 8, and that is to use delay on your hi-hat. I'll use H delay for this one. I'll do a ping pong delay. You gotta be careful here to not overdo it and turn down the feedback probably. Just find the right note value. Like now you hear that a little too much. This works better on a hi-hat beat that is more like separated, like when you have less notes. Boom, a lot more exciting and interesting versus this. There you have it. That's 8 tips and tricks for making more exciting and interesting trap hi-hats. I just want to end this video by saying that you probably shouldn't do all these things every time you make a hi-hat pattern or a beat. But you know, now I at least showed you 8 different tricks to help making your hi-hats more interesting. So yeah, I hope you found it valuable. If you liked the video, hit that like button, and I would love to hear your thoughts on the video. If I missed anything, if you are using other tricks and techniques than I showed in this video, I would love to hear about them too, because you know, I'm always learning. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. Follow me on social media, Hopland Music, pretty much everywhere. Alright, thanks for watching the video. Peace out.